Yeah, hello people, my beautiful and handsome viewers. Yeah, welcome to my page, Timo Starboy Reality Talk TV. Yeah, my name is Timothy Oladivopo. So we are about to start our new program. So today now Wotowoto on Inec, as usual, as they don't want to do the needful, so they will be receiving Wotowoto. They will be receiving Wotowoto until they do what is needful, because Nigeria people, Nigeria youth, they are crying. They want their mandate. They want their election to be taking place well. They want the new voting, the new election to take place. Because this one they did, that one is rubbish. We're not going to take it any longer. All this, their game is supposed to be over with. And I assure you, as they are assuring us, their game will be over. So listen to one of our lawyer, Mr. Dele Farotimi. So listen to what they said on Arise TV, and we move on.
Nigeria's most cosmopolitan urban setting is practically sitting on edge ahead of this Saturday's governorship election. That situation being the product of ethnic-based rivalry, which has gone up a decibel or two since results of the February 25th presidential election produced a seismic shift in the political configuration of the state. With governorship elections due in the next 3 days, there is palpable tension across the city, especially regarding to what extent the political class is willing to let peace reign in the state, and most importantly, whether or not the country's election management body would be ready to create the conditions for a free, fair, and transparent process. Lawyer and civil rights activist Dele Farotimi joins us now to have a conversation on this. So good to have you join us on Newsday. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, let's talk about the ethnic tension, and shall I say tribal politics that we've been witnessing, not even just in Lagos State, but in the whole of Nigeria. What would you say is responsible for it?
Desperation. Pure desperation. What you see happening, I can speak to Lagos State. It's pretty difficult for me to speak to places where I don't live, and I have very little by way of experience, but I can speak plainly to Lagos State. The seed for what is happening in Lagos State today was effectively laid with the fraudulent presidential election. And I say fraudulent because there is sufficient basis upon which to make that claim. But more importantly, the figures that were released in Lagos State as the presidential election result were already doctored before they were released. It has no basis in reality. Yes, Labour Party won.
Do you have any evidence?
Oh yes, there is more than sufficient evidence. Where Inec has become completely unreliable in terms of declaration of result, I will not even rely on the result that we have in our situation room. If I go by what PDP released in the public space, is more than sufficient. PDP said Peter Obi and Labour Party had over 900,000 votes in Lagos State. They had a little over 100,000, and APC had the same. The truth of the matter is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was roundly rejected in Lagos State. It wasn't just the Igbos. It wasn't about the Igbos rejecting him. He was rejected across the length and breadth of Lagos State because it was a referendum on his 24 years rule and hegemony in the state. So when you now heard the INEC people announcing a result that was supposedly so close with such depressed voters number, I remember that I was on Arise maybe a couple of days after that result was released, and I said at the time very clearly that this result is not reflective of what happened. At my polling booth, they were counting votes up until 1:43 a.m. in the morning. My wife did not vote until around 8:30 in the evening. And so the same happened across the length and breadth of Lagos, despite the best effort of those who were bent on disrupting the elections. So when they brought out the figure, I said immediately that one, it was not as close as they would like to pretend that it was. It wasn't close, it was a whitewash. However, in order to validate the lies that they have to tell and the tribal hatred that they are stirring up, they had to portray a close election so that the script that they have already written for this Saturday's election might be legitimized in all the nonsense they are doing. So number one, we must be clear about something. The first duty of a state is the protection of citizens. When you have a situation where citizens are being attacked and people are being singled out for attack, you have the one in Ododo, one Bale in Ododo, or Kabiesi in Ododo, suddenly remembering that he wants to worship Oro and is declaring Oro during the period when people should be out.
Well, I think we've had a clarification on that. He said the Oro rights will go up until Friday.
If you have had clarification on that, there was another one in social media today, some bearded clown talking about another Oro again. This was the same.
That was Elegushi.
That was caught on camera during the presidential poll. So you have a situation where you can speak about the political class in a situation where you have a political class. What we're dealing with is a criminal class that is determined to hold the people down by force of arms or whatever it takes. They are making this about tribe because there is no record to place before the people. We've had 24 years. 24 years. My people have a proverb. They say,
Okay, well, we're going to have to temper our language a bit. Let's temper our language.
Don't worry.
National television, so we have to be very careful.
I hear you, but let me say this. I am not a frivolous man. I did spend some years practicing some type of law before I retired as a lawyer, so I'm well advised as to the possible legal liability of any word that I might use. So anything I'm saying, take it as a given that before I would open my mouth to say so, I know as a fact that what I'm saying is the truth and I have absolute fact standing behind it. And because you have said so, let me explain myself. Over 2 years ago, I sat in this same studio and I announced to everyone that there was a murder plot over my life. And I then went on. This was after I had submitted petitions to the DSS and to the State Commissioner of Police. Up until today, in this state, in a country governed by law, nothing has been done. Some of those persons are the ones busy going around threatening people again today. I've been coming to your TV studio for a while. This is the first time in years since I've been coming here that I'll see armed soldiers required to protect what is supposed to be free press. So we're dealing with a situation where even though we might pretend that we're dealing with normalcy, there is nothing normal about our situation. If the people are allowed to vote in a free and fair election, these people are over. That's the truth. They have no record to place before the people. Only intimidation, blackmail, ethnic division, religious division, all sorts of divisions in order to keep the people from saying the truth of what they should be facing. Was it the Igbos that have been digging up roads in Lagos State over the last 24 years? Has the Igbos been the one that have stopped the rail that has taken 7 kilometers or thereabout that has taken 16 years to construct? Was it in the Igbo that stopped that? Who is the person who is busy selling all of Lagos to people that is not shouting about Igbo? There is just a validation of hatred in order to divide the people's attention so that they might not face the issue. The real issues are about a collapsing state, a collapsing country. They might want to forget all of that and distract our attention.
Let me just interrupt you briefly. Earlier you talked about criminal gangs, being given free hand to run. Yes. And of course we've seen all sorts of posts and videos on social media that could be characterized as hate speech. But sadly, nobody has been arrested, nobody has been prosecuted. So I'm wondering, is it that there are no laws against such, or is it that the laws are not being implemented? If the laws are not being implemented, how do we enforce that?
I've been shouting for years, it's pretty much the same seat, talking about the fact that we are not a country governed by law, and that we are a country governed by impunity, that our policemen pretend to uphold the law, but they know that they dare not uphold the laws. If they tried it, their political masters will end up in prison cells. So what you end up having is the administration of impunity, and that is what governs Nigeria. So these people you call criminal gangs, that I will also call criminal gangs, they are not really criminal gangs in the classic sense. They are part and parcel of the governance process of Lagos State and practically the whole of Nigeria. Because you were there, people saw pictures. There, right there in broad daylight, policeman standing, the evidence of the state. In Yoruba language, you call policemen Olopa. Olopa actually emanates from the person who carries the staff of office, the upper staff of office, is insignia and authority. So, in the Yoruba's mind, the Olopa is the symbol and representation of the state. You saw policemen at multiple locations standing aside while thugs, quote and unquote,
and they are not doing their job.
But they are not thugs. These are stakeholders in the governance of the state.
Yeah.
The BBC had a documentary where they had MC Mushroom Pikin calling governor. That is what we are all pretending we do not see. And that is what they are hiding behind the hatred that they are stirring up all over the place. So you and I will call them gangs because that tickles our fancy and it helps us to deodorize those who wear bow ties, wear suits, wear agbada, sit down in your studio and speak Dogon Turenchi to cover up for those who are carrying guns and are threatening everybody else's peace. The reality is that they are not criminal gang in the true sense of it. They are part and parcel of the governance of Lagos State and have been for the last 24 years.
So if we say a country governed by impunity, how then do we change this narrative? You said you've been here several times talking about the same issue. So that in case for you not to come back in a few months' time talking about this, what then would you say is the way forward?
Yeah, police are coming back in a few months' time to say this. And I'll tell you why. Ultimately, if people get the kind of government they deserve, the Nigerian people can blame Tinubu, they can blame Abiola and Obasanjo, blame this, blame that. Ultimately, they bear the responsibility for the governance of their country. When you find people who knows the truth but finds a basis to justify their hatred, which blinds them from what they should see, they are telling you all of a sudden that a person born of a Yoruba parent to an Igbo mother is no longer a Yoruba. They are justifying hatred. These same people were so progressive in their thinking that they were the first to start appointing Igbo commissioners. There is somebody from Kano in Lagos State. So they are progressive when they need to be, but when it serves their purposes to demonize in order to divide, they remember very quickly. All of a sudden,
that's what we call them.
Is no look. At the end of the day, they want us to have these asinine debates, debating nonsense when we should be facing issues. The issues are: how is it impossible in a state that is more or less underwater that the whole of Lekki Peninsula does not have a square inch of pipe-borne water after 24 years of the genius of Bodilon? How is it that in Lagos State we still do not have a coherent education system and nobody who can afford it will send his child to a government school? And that is when the government school is even available. You have less than 3 out of 10 classroom spaces in Lagos State owned by the state. And how good are those schools? Those are the questions we should be asking, but they will prefer that we are not asking those questions. They will prefer that we are talking about his Baba is Igbo, his mother is this, his hype-up, is that. Nonsense. Those are the distractions, and it is up to the people to either allow themselves to switch on their brains and decide what is in their own enlightened selfish interest, or they continue to allow their enemies to point at their enemies for them. I have made up my own mind. When all this is over, Nigerians will live with the consequences of their choices, because at the end of the day, even where they did not choose, such as the last election, where we chose across the country in overwhelming numbers, they have started applying tribal and ethnic sentiments in order to divide what was a nationwide cohesive mandate and divide it to portray it as an ethnic agenda. And Nigerians are the ones who are receiving it in spite of what they know. So it's really, you can, if you set yourself on fire, the blind still wouldn't see. So what's the point? I hate to say this, but they say when the Agama fell from on top of the Iroko tree, he beat his head. He said, yes, I have tried. It shall be said that I did my best, so don't worry. It's unlikely you'll find me in your studio I'll go and take care of my wife and my children and face my own business. I've tried my best. It will be up to Nigerians to decide their own future.
Well, just before you retire, we're still going to ask you a few more questions. And I would like to make use of your legal knowledge. Now, for those that have fallen victim of this ethnic tension, for instance, we've heard of shops of Igbo traders being burnt. We've heard that some people have been threatened physically not to dare come out and vote on election day if they're not voting for a particular candidate or a particular party and so on. So can this set of people maybe sue for compensation? And if they do, who would be held liable?
Liable?
Let me talk where we ask these questions about a society that is far from ideal.
These gangsters.
But surely there must be somewhere we can run to. People say the judiciary is the last hope of the common man.
The judiciary is the last hope of the common man. An often repeated quotation. But the unfortunate reality of the Nigerian is that our judiciary is not the last refuge of anybody but the rich.
It's down.
The poor will get judgment. The rich will get justice.
Yes.
If something that, see, I rarely talk about my own issues. I speak to national issues, but I was grievously wounded in my private space by the powers that be in this state. And I went to court. You know, they tell you, go to court. Just like you are counseling what they might be able to do. These people who are aggrieved. I went to court. 3 years after, I'm still in court. My case hasn't been called for one day like this in this court. So when you live in a country where people obliquely they talk about there was an SAN, because I don't want to ruffle too many feathers. So this SAN was the governor of a state, and it became a mantra that when they gave you certain dates, if you are prosecuting certain cases against the state or persons who have influence in this particular state in question, the judges will give you dates when the judges were already aware that they will not be sitting when they were on assignment elsewhere. So they started calling those dates by the SAN's name. So let's imagine that the person's name is Dele, so they started calling it Dele's dates. So you knew when you were handling such cases that both the registrar of the court and the judge, they both knew, they knew from day one what dates in the court register the court will not be sitting. But those are the dates we are going to be getting in those cases. So 7 years down the line, if I was paying a lawyer 3 years after my case had not been called, I would be frustrated and walk away. That is the lot of the Nigerian. There's a place, they will trumpet, they will tell you that they built the free trade zone, they are going to bring airport. Those are people's ancestral homes. They are sources of livelihood.
I can assure you.
Because the government grabbed it. We've been in court on behalf of some villages, 140 villages in the Ekpe axis. We've been in court for probably like the last 5 years. One adjournment after the other. So they will always tell you go to court because they know they are waiting for you.
Their father is in the court.
That's the unfortunate reality. So really,
their family is in the court.
The only recourse for the Nigerian will be a readiness to assert their citizenship. It will be up to them to find ways to do that. Because
you say assert their citizenship.
I have never hidden the fact of where I stand. Our governance system does not flow from our free will. It flows from a military imperative, and that is Decree 24 of 1999. If that document had flown directly from our own will, if it was an expression of our sovereign will, the first president that served using that constitution would have respected our will and understood that he gained power by virtue of our will. But because they had never respected our will, it has always been up to them to decide what to do at any point in time because they are not bound by the law. So we are in a situation where the Nigerian people would have to, on their own, determine what is in their best interest. And then, as far as I'm concerned, the only way to change this system is by a revolution. The only thing I will not sanction is violence. But I believe that we are getting to a point where this system is demanding a head-on confrontation, because if I cannot go to court to find justice, surely I must find justice somewhere. If that means I'm chaining myself to a bridge to demand that you are either going to, the only thing is no violence. I disavow violence.
When you talk about a revolution, what comes to mind? I think we had
a mini. Let me tell you, no, don't worry.
I think we had a mini preface
don't worry.
NSAS.
No.
And of course, you remember what happened at the Lekki toll gate.
Yes,
questions still unanswered years after.
No, there is a need to clarify something. There is a danger that happens in Nigeria fairly regularly. Words come to Nigeria and they acquire new meaning in Nigeria because we infuse it with our own peculiar circumstances. The word revolution comes from a French word, revolver. What does it mean? It means to turn round. It simply means turn around. The way we are going, our trajectories, is not suggestive of sustainability. It should be clear to anyone who is looking at our situation that you can't sustain this. Whoever becomes the president of Nigeria on May 20, whatever it is, would have to contend with 77 trillions in debt. That person would have to contend with the fact that you have massive youth unemployment, would have to contend with broken systems. That person cannot also have a crisis of legitimacy. That is the first one. Beyond that, whoever that person is, the person would of course have to dialogue with the Nigerian people because there are a lot of hardships waiting in front. You can't lead people by force. You need to have their consensus. So, where we're going, revolutions does not necessarily mean violence. The only reason it came to be associated with violence in Nigeria particularly was that each time the military jumped into our processes, they named themselves revolutionary councils. And yet, the only thing revolutionary about them was their capacity for stealing. There was nothing revolutionary about our lives. They called themselves revolutionary council, and it happened all over Africa. Each time one military bandit grabbed power, he would name himself revolutionary this, revolutionary that. So they demonized the word. Revolution simply means turn around. What we had on the 25th of February, that they are trying to destroy, was a revolution, no less. People, the disinherited of Nigeria across the length and breadth of Nigeria, not just Igbo, the disinherited in southern Kaduna, the victims of Nigeria in Kankara, wherever the victims of Nigeria were, they found commonalities and they expressed their sovereign will. Inec advertised a procedure and process and it has observed it only in breach. So when you are faced with these, you then begin to ask yourself, and then the thief tells you blithely, go to court.
Well, talking about the revolution, we are going to have another chance, for that this Saturday. But of course, I've heard so many people say they're not going to vote because they're afraid that the thugs will be out again. And like you have said, the police too, I guess their hands are tied. They can't really intervene if such happens. So what advice would you give to voters that are skeptical to come out this Saturday, probably because of electoral violence, voter suppression, and the likes? What advice would you have for them?
Freedom is a choice. Freedom is completely a choice. It is up to the individual to decide whether they want to live or whether they want to exist. I would rather die standing up for what I believe to be the truth than to live to a ripe old age devoid of the capacity to speak the truth. Now, having spoken the truth, you must go beyond that. What is the effect of abandoning the electoral process this Saturday? I'll speak directly to the camera and tell you. All you will be doing is that you will be validating your own enslavement, because at the end of the day, the entire purpose of them going around to burn markets, the entire purpose of them bringing all this ethnic hatred, the entire purpose of them attacking you and issuing threats is to keep you away from exercising the poll they had once told you was useless. Because you've now discovered that your vote is not useless, they are afraid that if you come out to exercise your franchise, they are feeding trough, their pot of soup, they are going to break it. But without breaking that pot of soup, how do you free yourself? God forbid that the INEC select president is sworn in. But imagine that man is ensconced in Abuja and Lagos is still in their pocket. What's going to happen to all of us? With criminal gangs already legalized in Lagos State, we might as well give up and Kukuma know that all of us should go and join mushroom picking in his park. Because that's the reality. That is the alternative to you electing to sit. I'm not even saying vote for any particular candidate. But you need to get up, get out of your homes, understand what is at stake.
Let's cancel all this election. Election is not our problem. My people, voting is not our problem. Let's do the revolution once and for all. Everybody should sit down, sit back and go your way. Let's scatter everything, because this thing na dubious. Na thief dey on top of the sitting on the chair. You know, it's all thieves, all those rogues, those ex-convict. They are the ones sitting on your presidential seat. So I boldly say it. We all know what is going on. We all know the game. So let's do the revolution once and for all and clean up the whole mess. Because if you are voting, it cannot change your life. It will only add problem to your life. So for me, no voting at all. Let's do the revolution and clean everything. Should go bye. All this mess you should clear off. This what this man is saying is not part of it. You still adding to your problem. You know, you still adding to your problem. You see what this one is saying? Let's hear.
Wọ́n lọ sílé ìwòsàn wọn, wọ́n á gbé oògùn ọ̀fẹ́, wọ́n á rí ìtọ́jú ọ̀fẹ́, tó bá tí kọjá 12-year-old. Wọ́n dẹ̀ tún gbé yẹn lọ sókè.
Ẹ máa gbọ́ o.
Ajá ilé ṣẹlẹ̀ fún wọn.
Ẹ máa gbọ́ àwọn tó da ọgbẹ́ rẹ̀.
Wọ́n lọ sílé ìwòsàn wọn, wọ́n á gbé oògùn ọ̀fẹ́, wọ́n á rí ìtọ́jú ọ̀fẹ́, tó bá tí kọjá 12-year-old.
Ẹ máa gbọ́.
Wọ́n dẹ̀ tún gbé yẹn lọ sókè. Ajá ilé ṣẹlẹ̀ fún wọn.
Ilé iṣẹ́ ló yọrọ.
A lè dá wọn dúró àwọn àjèjì.
It's all liars. All lie.
Tó bá jẹ́
wọn ló tẹ́ kò ṣe bàbá?
wọ́n bí.
Ẹ máa gbọ́ o.
Tó bá jẹ́ àìfọkànbalẹ̀ ló ń ṣe wọ́n bí.
Ẹja tó gbọ́.
Tó bá àwọn ọmọ wọn kéékèèké, wọ́n lọ sílé ìwòsàn wọn.
All liar.
Wọ́n á gbé oògùn ọ̀fẹ́.
All lie.
Wọ́n á rí ìtọ́jú ọ̀fẹ́.
It's all lie.
Tó bá tí kọjá 12-year-old.
It's all lie.
Wọ́n dẹ̀ tún gbé yẹn lọ sókè.
Lie.
Ajá ilé ṣẹlẹ̀ fún wọn. Wọ́n kọ́ṣẹ́.
Wọ́n kọ́ṣẹ́ níbo nìyẹn?
A lè dá wọn
Níbo ló
dúró
dáṣẹ́
àwọn
lẹ̀?
àjèjì tó ń yáwá èkó. Tẹ́kọ̀ ò bá dáa.
Bàbá yìí irọ́ pọ̀ lẹ́nu wọn. Àwọn tó kírètì àwọn jàǹdùkú, àwọn tó ń gbáwó lẹ̀, àwọn kí náà ti ń pè wọ́n, àwọn Caesar, àwọn ẹbí Caesar tó ń gbówó lẹ̀, àwọn tó kírètì iṣẹ́ fún nìyẹn. O kírètì iṣẹ́ kankan lórí irọ́ ni gbogbo ẹ̀ bá dé.
To get up. My people, this one swap.
Sorry o.
My people, this one swap.
Which one swap? Maybe you one here.
Fundamentally at odds with the 2023 Nigerian presidential. 2023 election.
Okay, let's listen to this
The
one.
results, the hasty announcement of the results are
This one is
fundamentally at
another
odds with the Nigerian election laws.
Busties,
And
you know,
as
they
Dr.
bust
Davis
their house.
said very clearly, they didn't just violate.
This one is, I think, observers, some people from organization that they observe the election, so they are in overseas. So those observers that they observe about the Nigeria presidential election. So those one, they are the one they against that fraudulent, that scam election conducting that Inec did. They say it's what totally scam. It's a fraudulent. So it's not acceptable. So that is what they are talking about, you know. And people from I think this organization, what was it called? They call them some organizations that they maybe they are the one in charge of Yoruba. This okay, I will remember. So anyway, so they condemn the election and they say it's not good to go. So in order to do another election, or they should know what they do, they should calculate it well, you know, do their mathematics, you know, in such a way that it will be clear, it will be very fair to everybody, it will be transparent. So they should do their mathematics the way they do it before it's not acceptable. So they should recalculate it, bring the beaver out and calculate what is inside there. So, and you projected it, everybody can see. So that is what this one is mean. This video you're about to listen to. So let's continue listening. Thank you. And don't forget, share. And let me take this opportunity to remind us that we're fans of Timo Starboy. We on every Friday, we'll be giving giveaway. So if you have a chance to be watching our program, please do, follow us and share to your loved ones. Let them come and benefit from the giveaway. So our big giveaway will start, I think, today is a Thursday here. So Friday on our show. So you can just participate and tell us where you are watching for. Anyway, the giveaway will be only within Nigeria, because it's a money giveaway, not goods. So, and we'll be giving you can send your account. Send us your account, and we'll be giving you some money. So we need your account and your phone number. So this giveaway is all benefit, for our fans on Timo Starboy Reality Talk TV. So just be participated and notice your loved ones. Let them come around and share, okay? Share and like. That's what it means. So let's talk about it. Tomorrow we start it. That's Friday. Every Friday, remember that. Okay. So let's listen to this video and we go on.
Rules, they violated their own laws. Inec glorified their efforts to make this the cleanest, the purest, the most transparent and fair election in Nigerian history, in African history. And yet, they violated every single fundamental tenet in every single law.
Exactly.
They instituted the Mahmudu voter accreditation system. You've heard about that, the BVAS. All that is, make no mistake about it, there's a lot on the internet that seems people want to believe that when you voted with the BVAS, that recorded your vote, and your vote was sent somewhere, and it went to a server, and it was tabulated, and somehow Tinubu or the APC were able to hijack that electronic signal. That's not what happened. It was more pernicious than that. It was more old-fashioned than that. All the BVAS does was gave you two modes of identification, both your card, you put your voting card, your PVC in, and it also did your fingerprint and face identification. But it failed. And the reason BVAS was important is so that people couldn't vote more than once. Vote early, vote often. The reason it's important is so people could not vote that had fake cards. And on the issue of the PVC cards, Inec announced, this is Inec himself, said that there were 87.2 million PVC cards collected. That was out of 93 million registered voters. So approximately 6 million people were registered. They just didn't bother to get their voting card. No one knows why. It just happens. But what's fascinating is, if you consider it true that 87.2 million people had PVC voting cards and could have voted.
Inec, they don't plan their game very well. They thought they are smart, and they are also thinking that people are fools, that they don't calculate with their brain. So this video is proving their secret, that they are not smart enough to rig this election. They are not expert in rigging election, in cheating. So that is why this overseer organization, they are bringing it to them that what you don't do, what you left undo, what you don't remember to add to your scamming. So that is what they are proving to them, that you are not smart enough. You are, your yash has been opened up. So now they are calculating for them that this is where you go wrong. So let's continue hearing.
The declared winner of this election received 8.7 million votes. Now, out of 87 million, the math's not real hard. That means that Mr. Tinubu got 10% of the vote.
Mr. Tinubu,
he will be ruling the wealthiest economy in Africa with a mandate of 10% of the population. That's extraordinary. Something is seriously wrong.
Yes.
Something is seriously wrong. Additionally, we believe that what has to happen and why we're here today, and Nadeko is leading the charge, we believe that...
Yes, Nadeko. Nadeko is the organizer who organized this program, that they should writing about how things went down, how it went wrong with Inec. It is Nadeko brought the case up, so they have interest on the case. So, and they go for overseer, these white people, that they should look at this case, how it is, how the whole scenario. So that is why those people, white people from American, they, collaborate with them and reason with them that this is totally mess. It's totally write off. This is not a election. It's a allocating election. They allocate the numbers. They allocate, the INEC allocate the numbers. They just give the number anyhow. So it was totally mess, rigging election. So let's continue.
INEC has to prove itself. It has to prove the results it announced were true and were real. There are 176,600 polling stations. That's a lot of polling stations.
Yeah.
INEC's rules required each polling station to collect the votes, count the votes, and they do it the old-fashioned way. They get the paper votes, they count them. They put them in stacks for each of the primary candidates.
They just counting anything.
They were to gather those results, publish the local results, and then transmit the results. And ultimately they would go to Abuja and be certified. Well, what happened was they published some of the results early on, and then they took them down. And so what they have is something that looks a little bit like...
That's allocation.
This, scribbling, when it used to look like this, where it was written. Someone didn't like the results. That's what appears to have happened. Dr. Ogebe observed it happening. So what we have is vote rigging, vote buying, and bribery.
Yes, that is what
so despite INEC's efforts, nothing good happened. And we're back to the same old thing, the same old efforts. So what do we do? What do we do in the United States? What do we do as members of the diaspora? What do we do as international attorneys or international law folks? What do we do to ensure democracy can thrive? That the promise of 1960 can come true again, hopefully. Well, we are asking that INEC throw open the curtains and let the full light of truth come in to prove the transparency and the veracity of the results they've announced. If the results are true, they should be able to prove it.
Exactly.
It is absolutely not extraordinary to ask them to prove it. Show me your math. We've all gone to school.
Yeah.
Show me your math. You've got a number.
Show me your math.
Show me how you got to that number.
Show me your mathematics.
Prove what you did.
How do
there can be no debate.
How do you come up with the big figure that you brought to the collation center? So that is what we are asking you. Show us your mathematics. How did you put add, minus, plus, whatever you do, all this kind of mechanical something you do. So show it to us. We want to see. We want it to be glaring to us, to transparent to us. Don't hide in. You are hiding because you say you have nothing to hide. You are hiding. INEC. Everything is on your neck. Everything is on your neck. Show us everything that you are hiding. The world want to see it. The world, they are looking out to see. They want to see it. They are waiting for you because you are hiding. You are under the darkness. You are inside the darkness behind the curtain. So show your face. Show everything to us. You hold us an explanation. You hold us an answer. We are asking a question. You cannot be ruling on our life. Our life depends on it. This is between life and death. You can't be fooling us. You can't be messing up with our life. So that is what we are asking you. It's a simple logic. Just show yourself out. Don't hide behind the curtain. Don't hide behind the judge. You have said that they should take it to the court, and now it's on the court. So show everything you got. So you don't need to be hiding. You don't need to be just dodging anything, you know. It will be a fool of you. You are just you are fooling around. Let's continue, my people.
Investigations indicate that they were savaged. The rules were savaged. The rights of the electorate were savaged.
Yes.
It was polluted by blatant and widespread corruption. As Dr. Lloyd said, the four horsemen of democracy's doom, bribery, intimidation, insecurity, and vote rigging, appeared to trot and run roughshod all over the nation. They were harnessed to steal the results.
All the whole thing.
We, NEDECO, call upon the people of Nigeria to act peacefully, but to demand that proof be provided to them, that Inec prove the results they've announced. We also call upon the international community to join together with the Nigerian judiciary in a concerted effort to condemn and set aside the hastily announced results and instead proceed with the solemn seriousness this deserves. Again, one of the world's great nations is at peril here, continues to be at peril here. We need to make sure we don't continue to turn our back on Nigeria. And what we're asking for is very simple.
Just support
prove
us.
To us. Prove. NEDECO says prove to us that if there is a Nigeria and there is a democracy in Nigeria, that it was arrived at lawfully and in accordance with the rule of law.
The rule of law should prevail.
The continuation of power by the ruling party is a wholesale disenfranchisement of Nigeria without more. That is little more than a dictatorship.
Yes.
And it's a new dictatorship. But it is nonetheless a dictatorship because it's imposed apparently against the will of the people.
They are dictating for us. And it will never be accepted. You know? This one will never accept. We will never accept it. Never in our life. Because we are not a fool. We have wake up. We have opened our eyes. You know? We know what's up. And the justice must be done properly. Justice must be done. Justice must be done. You will face the consequence. If it is need for you to go to jail, we will put it there behind the bar. Those people who commit this atrocity. Say no to vote buying. Say no to scam election. Say no to destructing laws, you know. Say no to Inec hiding something for people. So we say no. Never. And the justice must be prevailed. So thank you, my people. Thank you so much. Continue sharing our program. Continue liking it. So, and don't forget, tomorrow, just call in. Our giveaway will come at your account. So drop your account and your number. So, and participate in our show. So we join together tomorrow and we announce who the giveaway is. Is benefit. So thank you. Try to share it to your loved ones. Let them come and benefit from our giveaway. So we love you all. Have a wonderful time and wonderful day. Bye.